Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we have to talk about the changes at the top of Disney's corporate structure. They've added a position that didn't really exist before, and they put somebody in the position who doesn't really fit the job description. And what's worse is that person's going to start making decisions that will affect what your family sees in the future. And with that, I think we have a lot to talk about and a lot of different sources to rely upon, from real screen to Inside the Magic. We're going to run the gambit on what Dana Walden means to Disney's future. Here we go. Now, before we get started, here's a real quick reminder. Double check that you're still subscribed to the channel. If you found yourself here, it's worth the gamble. Click on the red subscribe button and turn it to gray, and then hit the little silver bell icon. Turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything, and make sure that not only do you watch the whole video, but you actually watch another one of my videos, maybe something on Super Bowl halftime, which we're going to drop one for on Sunday as well. But let's get into this particular story. We'll start first with Real Screen, kind of defining what a lot of you already know. If you've been here on the channel, I dropped a video about this yesterday, but this speaks more specifically to what Dana is doing and why, and who put her in a position of power that she certainly doesn't belong in. Business briefs change at the top at Disney. No kidding. Blue Ant restructures, and of course, the two people pictured in this image are the new leaders of Disney. You have Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden. Josh is basically the corporate CEO. He's the figurehead that moved from the parks business up into, well, the big chair or the big office with, the ability to take as many showers as he wants every day. And Dana specifically moved into a position, a creative officer position that didn't exist before. It kind of artificially existed before under John Lasseter, but it's now an official position, which means she's creative, right? Right? Yeah, not so much. And to that end, Puck Media asks a question I think we probably are all having right now. After a year-plus contest, which we all witnessed publicly like a corporate Hunger Games, the CEO gig ended with D'Amaro in the victory and a pretty good consolation prize for Walden. The highly choreographed vibes have been only positive, but conflicting styles and potentially existential challenges in Walden's expanded film and TV fiefdom could soon capsize the boat. And that's a relevant idea because we'll get to what's going on as one of the first big choices for Dana. Josh D'Amaro, the newly crowned CEO of the Walt Disney Company, is 100% a brand guy. Lives and breathes and probably dreams inappropriate dreams about the big, beautiful Disney brand. Dana Walden, D'Amaro's board-appointed president and chief creative officer, meaning he had no choice here. He didn't even probably get a say, and she got put into a position that actually pays a base pay better than his, which should be an alarming signal to him. Or maybe that's just me. Anyway, Dana's career is just general interest TV executive. She came actually out of Fox, the acquisition of Fox, which had successes in adult television like Modern Family, 24, Family Guy, and American Horror Story, and anything involved with Ryan Murphy. That does not fit neatly into Walt's famous 1957 strategy map that Josh D'Amaro is said to worship like a Bible. So how's that gonna work? I would suggest not well. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but it just doesn't politically jive with the family vibe that Disney is supposed to still maintain, which, as I said in a previous video, they've long since abandoned. I think you guys are probably catching up to that one. But let's jump into the fact that it has a lot of political tones, and there's reasons for that, including the close personal friendship that Kamala Harris has with Dana Walden, and it may have hurt her chances of becoming the CEO, especially since she was not selected as president, which the country is obviously far better off for. But Disney executive Dana Walden's close friendship with the Democratic presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, may have hurt her chances to succeed Bob Iger as head of the media conglomerate, according to a report. Sources told Variety, that's a PMC media company that I use pretty much on a daily basis, that the relationship risked making Disney a target for the Republican Trump administration. Technically, it made her a target for essentially being identified as one of the major leading causes to hit ABC in the teeth while they could, which they've been doing with a certain number of lawsuits and potentially fines in the future. But we'll step away from that for a moment to talk about Walden's relationship with Harris, which dates back into the mid-1990s. It's rooted in a prior friendship between her husband and Dana's husband, which is not great. I mean, if you think about Matt Walden is tied to Hollywood lawyer Doug Emhoff, you start to get maybe a picture that's a little bit tainted. But honestly, and I'll say it here quite plainly, Disney's a little bit tainted right now. In fact, maybe they're a little too focused on the taint. Anyway, Dana Walden has also been a steady financial backer of Harris's political career. That's close political alignment in the donations category is going to draw a lot of attention. So this is dating back to the latter's campaigns for San Francisco District Attorney, which of course she had a leg up on, or maybe both legs up on, with support by a particular leader. You can go and look that up for yourself if you so choose. But Dana Walden, the co-chair of Disney's entertainment division that oversees television and streaming, was considered a finalist with tomorrow as far as the job for, well, the CEO, which fortunately for us, she didn't get. But unfortunately for us, she's in that new position we previously described. And look, I'm not going to doom and gloom all over the place. I'm just going to bring forward the facts. The idea that Dana's there to restructure the way Disney wields power and the people that are in it is not a good idea, as it's already led to a leadership problem since the Iger days. The political alignment of Disney has gone from being a family-safe media brand to something akin to, well, PG-13 to NC-17 kind of thinking, which really doesn't align well with Disney. Regardless, according to The Observer, Disney's first creative chief, Dana Walden, is set to reshape the power dynamic after Bob Iger. With a profitable streaming service, leadership is shifting. Dana Walden's promotion signals a reordering of the power inside Disney. Well, of course it does. She got a gig that was non-existent until they needed a place to stick this lady so that they didn't have to get rid of a powerful female that would have drawn the squawks of the Hollywood whiners that are currently losing their positions from the WAPO. But that's an entirely different story. As the Walt Disney Company's newly appointed CEO, Josh D'Amaro dominates the media headlines this week. Another newly promoted leader is equally important and paid better, to be fair, in defining Disney's post-Bob Iger chapter. Dana Walden, co-chair of Disney's entertainment arm, is poised to step in as president and chief creative officer next month, reporting directly to D'Amaro. Walden, 61, the mother of two children, which they leave out here, is the first creative chief in Disney's 102-year history, and the first woman to serve as president of the company. And yet they had a much more talented and qualified person they could have put into this position, who is certainly an observer of entertainment. Except, if you remember, and this isn't too far back in recent history, about the time as the Peltz attempt at a stock-led coup, she lost her gig. We're talking, of course, about Susan Arnold, but that's a story for another time. While Disney has historically had chief creative officers for its animation studios, Walt Disney himself served in that capacity for the early years, the company has never named a creative chief since becoming a sprawling media conglomerate. Walden will be the first person to oversee Disney's film studios, cable channels, streaming services, and broader creative development under a single mandate, which means it'll be politically driven, the singular destination of everybody that's moved into Disney leadership over the last 15 years. Thanks again, Bob Iger. But that all culminates here in this reporting from Inside the Magic, which I am reticent to use, but we will use it anyway because the story is accurate and well sourced by Andrew Bordwine. Report: Dana Walden greenlights controversial Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. And what's interesting is how long it takes to get to the controversial part of the conversation. You see, Disney is officially entering a new era, and the timing could not be more chaotic, right at the point in time where you have a change of leadership and you make some company-changing decisions. After months of behind-the-scenes speculation, Disney leadership shakeup is now underway, has taken full shape, and you have the takeover by Josh D'Amaro of CEO, and Dana Walden's stepping in as that creative officer. They had to make a position for her to prevent the Hollywood whining. And almost immediately, one franchise has started bubbling back to the surface: Pirates of the Caribbean. Something that's near and dear to my heart, since it's one of my favorite attractions inside the original Disneyland theme park, on top of the fact that, well, the original first film was amazing. And it's not just a random coincidence. It feels like a message. Disney is moving forward, and it's doing so by grabbing one of its biggest legacy brands and pushing it into the spotlight. But this isn't a clean comeback story. Of course not. It's tied to this man, Johnny Depp, who they don't really like anymore because he beat their, well, love of their life, Amber Heard, in a court battle. That was very, very public and a very, very public loss. And now because of that, Dana Walden now has a controversial decision to make, and fans are already bracing for impact. Disney's Pirates franchise is back on the table. For years, the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise has felt stuck in limbo. And let me tell you, it has been. This thing got stuck in the mud because of one lady who decided to literally poop the bed and kind of put a kibosh on the making of these popular films. It also maybe prevented them from eventually becoming more extinct in a bigger way because they were not really dumping a lot of creative effort into them. Now, that's my opinion, but let me know if you think the same down below. Regardless, it wasn't officially dead, but it wasn't alive either. Disney kept hinting at a future installment. Insiders kept floating different casting rumors, and producers kept insisting that something was in the works. And one of those people, of course, was Jerry Bruckheimer himself. So nothing ever seemed to move forward in a real way, and that was partly because the franchise simply lost momentum. Because while Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl remains one of Disney's most iconic modern films, the sequels didn't maintain the same reputation. In fact, they became derivatives of derivatives, and not in a unique or fun way. And it leaned quite heavily into political messaging, just not in the more obvious ways we see in modern or more modern Disney films. This one still kind of remained in the classic pile. Unfortunately, it isn't there anymore. Disney actually knows one thing: this franchise makes money. And in an era where studios are leaning harder than ever into recognizable IP because they've destroyed everything else, Disney isn't going to let Pirates fade away quietly. And that's where the problem begins. Because Dana Walden is going to pick something in a franchise that already has fans widely divided. The quality of these films has fallen off a cliff, especially with the messaging. And Dana Walden is all about the neo-Marxist, extreme progressive messaging, which isn't good for anything, as it actually ages quite poorly. Go back and watch Ghostbusters 2015. Anyway, Dana Walden's first major creative test. She's stepping into the new role as President and Chief Creative Officer. This Pirates reboot's become more than just another franchise revival. It becomes the first major creative test, or one of them. Walden will now have direct influence over Disney's film direction, which means decisions like this won't be handed off to producers or buried in studio development meetings. The Pirates reboot is exactly the kind of project that will define what kind of leadership she brings to the company. Is she going to take risks? Is she going to play it safe? Or is she going to try to satisfy everyone and end up satisfying no one? And the question not asked here, because of the outlet that it's coming from, is going to lead into the progressive agenda items that have killed other franchises in Disney's cadre of IP. I bet you know what I'm thinking. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments section below. The first decision is Disney has to decide what to do about Johnny Depp, and whether Disney likes it or not, Johnny Depp's Captain Jack Sparrow is the face of Pirates of the Caribbean, and I don't think anybody could argue. The character didn't just carry the franchise, he became the franchise, and Jack Sparrow is one of the most recognizable Disney characters of the last 25 years. So much so that they took a great deal of time and money to actually throw him into the attractions in both U.S. parks. There's a reason for that. He sells, and he sold out his image so they could use him, and then they turned their back on him. That's a conversation for a different time.
A good question for another time.
But people who didn't love the later sequels will associate the entire brand with Depp's performance because, well, they're tied together at the hip. And so, of course, are the stories. But the relationship with Depp became complicated after the Heard's trial and the allegations and everything that followed. And at the time, Disney appeared to be distancing itself. No, they weren't appearing to do anything. They absolutely did. As did Warner Brothers, which hurt them and was very detrimental to their Fantastic Beasts franchise. Again, a story for another time. But fans have made their position clear. This is where things will get messy. If Dana Walden decides to move forward without Johnny Depp, there's a very real chance that fans will revolt. And of course, here, that means fans won't show up. But I think it's pretty predictable in where Dana will go because she adheres so completely to the message. And again, that's bad for Disney because it leads into the female-led, female franchise that's been quietly in development for the better part of 5 years. And fans have spent years online arguing about pirates, and it simply can't work without Jack Sparrow. Many believe Disney has no chance of reviving the franchise if the character isn't involved, and some have even claimed that they would boycott a reboot that replaces him. And therein lies the rub. What will Dana elect to do? Because if Walden greenlights a reboot without Depp, the studio may face the same reaction that's hit other major franchises when audiences feel like the heart of the original story has been removed. And if the goal is to relaunch Pirates as a reliable blockbuster brand again, starting with an angry fan base is not the way to do it. But let me tell you something. Congratulations, Inside the Magic. You've joined us on, I guess, what Disney would think would be the dark side, but is more the business side of the equation. And whether or not Johnny actually returns to this character is going to be moot anyway, because they believe they need to distance themselves from the Jack Sparrow character, which created this franchise in the first place. And he's not going to be focused upon either way, at least according to the people involved. And if he's not the main character, isn't that just giving us Star Wars with Rey all over again? And if they make a female central character, will the fans accept it? My answer is simply no. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And with that, my thoughts could not be more well expressed than by simply saying, no matter what you do, this is a bad idea. I think that you're darned if you do, darned if you don't. But no matter what decision is made, Disney needs to get back on track for making tentpole films that are successful in the box office, because they haven't done that in a while. And as Marvel has crawled down a giant sewer and Star Wars is essentially non-existent at this point, despite 2 upcoming films that have zero hype, Pirates could elevate Disney films back into the spotlight. But the question is, will they do so to a delighted fan base or to one that's ready to just give up on Disney altogether? My suspicions, people are already done with Disney, and doing anything that could be perceived as woke will kill this movie right away. So I ask you, what do you think? Is Jack integral to anything they do with Pirates going forward? And is leaving him out as the main character and just being some kind of ancillary fidget spinner going to be sufficient for most of those fans? And finally, will a feminization of this particular franchise lead to a loss of its original fan base, or will they somehow be able to make people like Margot Robbie likable enough that they'll accept her as a suitable replacement? All of those questions are good as far as I'm concerned. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, or any other ideas you have. Once again, please consider making sure you watch a second video for today so you don't get unsubscribed from the channel. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! But maybe not at a Dana Walden-led Pirates movie.